The TCU men snap a 3-game losing streak. The TCU women get a victory and set up a top 10 matchup later this week.
You are Locked On Horned Frogs, your daily podcast on the TCU Horned Frogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right, Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. A bonus episode today. Had a lot going on a Monday, so covered some football on Monday's show, but wanted to make sure I got to TCU men's and women's basketball because both teams won a Sunday sweep. Men get victory over Colorado. Women take down Iowa State. The men were at home. We'll start with them. They get a win over Colorado 68-57. I'm Steven Simcox, by the way. Locked On Horned Frogs. I've been covering TCU athletics for the past 12 years. Frogs win 68-57 over Colorado. Colorado is now 0-10 in conference play. This is not a good team that TCU is playing. But that being said, TCU came in on a 3-game losing streak. They got off to a rough start. They were down 8-0 like 2 minutes into the game, had some turnovers. Colorado got some fast break points. The story of this ball game, though, freshman David Punch. 19 points, but most importantly, now David's had some times where he scored this year. This was a career high. This was a different level of scoring. But if David scored 19 points and it was around the rim, that would be cool. That would still be a nice moment, but it wouldn't really be like an eye-popping thing. It wouldn't necessarily be something that spoke to a change for the season and potentially the future. David Punch was 3 of 3 shooting threes from beyond the arc. He had all 3 of them on Sunday afternoon. He's shown promise this year. Of all the freshmen, Micah Robinson, super excited about him as well. David Punch has been the guy. Even the sophomores, like I think Jace Posey has given them some good minutes. Isaiah Manning gave them some good minutes yesterday. But of those freshmen and sophomores, those first and second-year players that we were really excited about, that was supposed to be the point of this team. Okay, it's a rebuilding year, but somebody was going to emerge as a player. David Punch has been the dude that has given them the most valuable minutes. It's mainly been, though, as a rim protector. And, I mean, you see the athleticism, the ability to finish. He had 2 monster dunks in Orlando that kind of got overshadowed because TCU played a horrible game against UCF. He's had some great offensive rebounds, putbacks, easy buckets around the rim. You definitely see the potential of, like, this is a dude that can thrive in a pick-and-roll scheme for a long time if he has guards that can get in the paint and get in the ball and lobs. If he becomes a decent outside shooter, then it totally changes what TCU can do. Because right now, it feels like Jamie really likes the idea of having Ernest and David on the floor at the same time. It gives you great size. It gives you the ability to rebound the heck out of the basketball. Really good athleticism from your bigs. The problem is David Punch at this point in his career is not a stretch 4. What I mean by that is teams just leave him open around the perimeter. If he's 15 feet from the hoop, extended all the way beyond the arc, players aren't guarding him. Against Kansas last week, there were moments where they had both those guys on the floor. They were trying to extend that lead. They had a really good 10-minute stretch against KU. KU started sagging off David Punch. They said he's not going to shoot that, and he didn't. If he starts hitting shots from the outside on a consistent basis, and I don't think this is going to change tomorrow. He's probably not going to shoot 100% from 3 the rest of the year. That's my hot take. However, if he becomes more of a threat from that area of the floor, then suddenly the offense for this team is a lot better. Now, listen, I'm not going to BS you guys. This was a win at home against a winless opponent in conference play. Colorado's not a good team. Still, it's nice to have some good vibes. You get a victory here. Next, you host West Virginia, which I think West Virginia is better than TCU, but they're 5-5 in conference play. After that, you go on the road and play Iowa State, which will be on College game day. Good luck, but Iowa State did just blow a tire at home against Kansas State. I imagine they'll be up for that one, though. Regardless, at this point in the year, it's all about just stacking up as many wins as possible. I don't think this is a tournament team. That's kind of a Captain Obvious take, too. However, I know people wouldn't be excited about the NIT. I get that. When we're talking about young players trying to get experience, that could be a valuable thing for the future. Where we're at in the season now, it's about developing young guys, making them understand, like, hey, we want you to be a part of this program. We want you to be the leaders moving forward. David Punch is a great example of that. He's going to have to improve his game this offseason. I love some of the tools he has. They need to add, especially on the offensive side of the ball, add some tools to that toolbox. If they do, he could be a really good player. But we saw a brief glimpse of it on Sunday afternoon. And they played good defense. I mean, after that, first 5-minute stretch where they gave up 10 points, they really locked in defensively. They did what they need to do. Vashawn Ouellette, Noah Reynolds had decent ball games as well. The story of that ball game, though, was David Punch figuring it out in a big way. When we come back, the TCU women, a huge win on the road in Ames. I'll talk about it next here on Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app. Give it a try today. One $5 bet. You win that bet, you get $200 in bonus bets. Super Bowl 59 is coming up on Sunday. Chiefs, Eagles. You can bet the money line on the game, or you can get involved in all kinds of prop bets, all the way down to the coin toss. Who's going to score the first touchdown? All those things are available at FanDuel.com or on the FanDuel app. You place one $5 bet. You win that bet. You get $200 in bonus bets. Give it a try today. If you've ever wondered about dipping your toe in these waters, make FanDuel the one. FanDuel's official betting partner of Super Bowl 59, also a proud sponsor of the Locked On Network, FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app. So these games were both played at the same time. TCU Women also played Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and they're playing Iowa State on the road in Ames. The Twister Sisters, as they're called, they came into this ball game 6-4 in conference play. This is not your typical Iowa State team. Bill Finley's built a really good program there. They're having a little bit of a down year, especially considering the expectations they had. They were a top 25 team coming into the season. That being said, that's always a tough place to play. Fans show up there. It's a loud environment. TCU has not been great closing ball games at times. They haven't been great on the road at times. They had a week off. Here's what I love from this game. Haley Van Lith had 28 points. That's not the story here. This is a TCU team that is not very deep. They really only run 6 or 7 players out there. And I think that's been the biggest culprit when we talk about why they struggle so much to score in the fourth quarter. Well, it's tough to hit jumpers when you don't have your legs under you. It's tough to have your legs under you when you're playing 35, 40 minutes. Haley Van Lith had a great game. Sedona Prince did not score in this ball game. There was a big matchup down the post. Sedona Prince versus Audie Crooks. She had 29 points. Sedona had 0. That does not spell success for TCU, but here's what happened. TCU had some role players step up. In the first quarter, it was Taylor Bigby. She shot the ball really well in this ball game. Her final line, 19 points, 7 of 11 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3. But early in that game, when they were crashing down on those guards, they would kick it out to Taylor Bigby. She hit a 3. Another player that gave them really valuable minutes in this ball game, Deaisha Merrill, 18 minutes, only 6 points. But she played defense on Crooks for the majority of the ball game when Sedona Prince was in foul trouble, and she held her own and did a really good job. Merrill hasn't played a lot this year. That was a tough spot to be thrown into the lineup. Say, hey, you got to guard their best player. Crooks, the final line, 29 points, but she was 12 to 26 from the field. They made her work for it. Merrill did a really good job. She didn't allow her to just seal her off and get great position down the post. She was physical. She used her fouls. I think she had 4 fouls in this game. But, man, she did good work. She came in there and sort of saved the day for a TCU team that was shorthanded, especially once Prince went down in foul trouble. Overall, they shot the ball really well, 46% from 3. Iowa State cut that lead down to 4, down to 3, down to 1 at one point in the third quarter. TCU pushed that lead out to 13 in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, on the road, when they had to close it out, they closed it. Iowa State cut it to 6 with 6 minutes left, and TCU had an answer every single time. Really good win. They now go play Kansas State on Wednesday in what will be a top 10 matchup versus the Wildcats on the road at 6:30. If you have not watched TCU Women's basketball this year, tune into that ball game. We're talking about the winner of that game is going to have the inside track to win the Big 12. After that, the schedule lets up a little bit. We're coming to the end of this gauntlet, and so far they've handled their business really well. You got one more game to win, though, and it's a big one. But a fantastic job by that team. They didn't look ahead to the K-State game. They went on the road on a Sunday afternoon, big-time environment, and won against an Iowa State team that the record won't say they're great, but that's a tough game to win, and they took care of their business. Really good effort by the Lady Frogs, getting it done, 82-69, your final score. We'll have coverage of basketball and more all week long. It's Locked On Horned Frogs, your team every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.